So, thanks all of you for being here today. Thanks for coming. Today we have a really special presentation with Francesc coming direct from Barcelona, Magnet Barcelona, working in Asuni, a really important company that is developing software and also connecting with freeform geometry. And we want to present to all of you what Francesc is working during the last years, also a bit of his story, personal story, right? And also to know more about the nice products that they just launched, that they are think that they are creating impact day by day in the world, and we want to know more. And it's a special day, it's a celebration. So thanks, Francesc, for coming, and let's enjoy with your presentation.
Thank you, Andres and Nora. It's a pleasure to be here. And this is the best part of my job, to be able to go other places, meet other people, and I love it. Okay, so for me, it's a big pleasure to be here. So thank you for letting me be part of this. When I was 5 years old, I started with construction stuff, and then I knew that I wanted to be an architect. I don't like to talk about these things, but Andres was asking me to explain some of my background, but it's not a big story. It's just architecture, and I started like in 2010 at Asuni because they wanted some architect that had a freshman. I've never used Rhino before, so that's one of the requirements. Okay, somebody who could detect, had a freshman that it's not like used to any, well, in this case, Rhino software that could detect the things that work better, in order to be the bridge between the programmers, okay, the VisualARQ programmers and users, right? So that was been part of the main job that I do, but now, I mean, we're a small team at the Asuni, and we do everything, from the writing the help, recording videos, tutorials, social media, website content, and testing the software, of course. So it's a lot of different things, and not only for VisualARQ, but also for LandsDesign, which is the software I will start with. And actually, I'm going to show a new product that we're going to release in 2 days. So it's after many years of development, it's a very special moment now, where we will release this Rhino Land solution that it's basically LandsDesign, which is a plugin that we have been developing for many years for Rhino, but also for AutoCAD. Actually, it existed as a plugin for AutoCAD for more than 15 years. And now we will deliver it as a standalone solution with a new interface. Okay, so I'm going to show some of these things in a second. And later we'll talk about VisualARQ, okay, which is also the main product that we develop at Asuni, that it's only available for Rhino. Okay, so any of you have tried LandsDesign before? Yeah, great. All right, so basically it's a plugin with BIM technology for landscape architecture. So it provides tools for 2D drawing, producing 2D drawings and 3D modeling. Also for as BIM software, we deal with plans and geometry with information, so we can create reports with this information, but also have some animation tools to do videos and or walk through the project interactively, okay, integrated into the program. And this is like the new interface of that solution, Rhino Lands. So it's actually Rhino with a new skin and with LandsDesign inside it. And it's a simplified interface because you know that when you open Rhino for the first time, you get a bit of overwhelmed with all these dozens of tools, icons, toolbars, and most of the people don't use half of them, right? So we have gathered the most important commands and put into a ribbon, a nice ribbon, so they are user-friendly, accessible, and easy to find. But I mean, this is just Rhino. If you type any command, you will find it, okay, even though it's not on this toolbar. So And also Grasshopper is there. So you have everything that is in Rhino, but with a new skin. And also, LandsDesign can be still used as a Rhino plugin. So you can open Rhino, load LandsDesign, and use it as always, okay, as a plugin for Rhino with their usual interface. So in this case, it also still works as a plugin for Rhino and AutoCAD. Okay. Well, Rhino LandsDesign is used in landscape architecture or infrastructure, urban planning, and environmental projects. And the main features are basically a huge plant database with more than 8,000 species, all of them with their botanical information and the specifications. And all the plants have a different representation modes, not only for realistic, representation, but also in the 2D crown. They have 2-3 different display modes in 2D. So, for example, once you have the project with all these plant species, you can switch to from conceptual display to a detailed or realistic, which is a display mode that's more detailed in the sense that all the 3D geometry contains the textures and of the leaves, of the trunk, of the flowers. Okay, but they are kind of a proxies in the sense that when we shot renders, even though they are very detailed plants, they are replaced by a more realistic plants when we shot renders. Okay, and they can also handle different appearances according to seasons. So we can run a kind of season simulation render. Okay, so with the same project in winter or in summertime. Okay, so here you have a slider selecting the season where you want to shot a render. And also there is a 2D representation for all these elements. So when we switch to this 2D, all the plants are displayed with a 2D crown. All the terrains are displayed with all the contours. Okay, and also the blocks have a specific. All the urban furniture have a specific 2D representation, so you can easily work in 2D. And also we are seeing that many of the landscape architects are more used to work in 2D, they have more 2D background. So I want to make this transition to the BIM more easy for them, so they can still work in 2D and switch at any time to this 3D representation, or work the way they want. Okay. So again, we can shot renders having different representation modes according to season. And all these realistic files can be generated by a plant editor that is built in the program. So you can actually add more plant species and generate these 3D plants using this plant editor. So okay, there are more than 8,000, but if you're looking for some specific species that is not in the plant database, you can add it on your own. You can, duplicate an existing file or create it from scratch and just develop one of these 3D plants with this plugin and and add new species in the database. Okay. So, all these plants can be inserted in different ways. So, of course, individually. Here, just notice that we have a kind of surface that acts as a terrain. So they detect, that's topography, and they replace on top of it. Also, plants can be inserted in this kind of paint way or by selecting points or blocks. So this is a usual situation where you get a DWG file with the location of all the plants from points or from blocks, and you want to just replace them to insert real 3D plants. Also, we can insert them in rows or forests. So they are parametric arrangements, so we can decide the amount of plants, the separation of these plants in these forests or rows. Okay. So we work always with parametric objects with many parameters. Okay. In this case, a ground cover, we control the density, the size of the plant and species, and so on. Also, there are many powerful terrain modeling tools. So we can create terrains from points or curves. And they are meshes, but with that contain all the information of the operations that we work on top of it. So we can add custom fields, we can add paths, and we can change the width of the path at any time. Okay. Also, the volume of earth movement can be reported. Okay. So according to these operations, we can then generate different reports and based on that, take some design decisions because we know the amount of volume that has been added or subtracted from adding a path. Okay, so well, we work with parametric objects. Okay. Also, terrains can be created from DEM files. Okay, basically we run this command. We select one of these DEM files and we select an area that we want to import, and we generate automatically a terrain out of it. Okay, with all the option to show the contours, okay, the 2D representation, and all them labeled with the elevation. And also from the Earth. I mean, this is a command that you can navigate over the world, go to a specific spot, and we can read. I mean, this is a public information. We have the elevation data of samples every 10 meters, and also the volumes. It's information that we can import into our model. And I mean, this is just good tool for creating an environment of the project site, because of course, if you want to work on a real place, you rather, you know, use a topography survey and import the points of this survey into your project. But I mean, for the environment, it's a really great tool. And then there are parametric hardscape tools like walls, stairs, ramps. It's a new feature in this version, or fences. And also some irrigation tools, okay, for creating sprinklers, piping system, or array of sprinklers. And then for visualization, okay, I've mentioned the option to shot renders for similar season change simulation, but also for, I mean, since it integrates with Rhino, we can run some sun movement simulation, okay. Or there is a wall mode to navigate through the project. But of course, we can create also videos like that. This is created with Enscape, but already in Rhino, there are tools to create some animations. And since it works on Rhino, it integrates with all these other amazing tools for creating like virtual animations, or like Enscape to motion, Lumion, or shooting nice renders as V-Ray, okay. Also in Rhino, there are great tools to produce nice renders. And then, well, there is all this integration with Grasshopper to create parametric architecture. And we have all the lands design components available from Grasshopper. I don't know if you work with Grasshopper, all of you, more or less. Okay. So that's where I don't have to explain what the Grasshopper is, right? That's good. But yeah, I mean, we have here the components to create plans, terrains, paths, okay, sprinklers, and here we can see some examples. So, for example, we can reference all these plants from the model and create these, you know, pods at the bottom that are based on the size of the plants. Or we can distribute different plant species on these regions based on two lines that split, you know, these regions into different paths. Or we can generate terrains directly from Grasshopper. We control, you know, the precision of this terrain at cuts and fills based on boundary curves, and everything integrated here and available from Grasshopper. And also we can use the Grasshopper components to match, let's say, to map some environmental data with the existing 3D model. For example, we got the data from the CO2 absorption of certain plants during some years, and we were mapping this data with the existing plants in our model, and we could determine a kind of a CO2 absorption, let's say, analysis for certain period of years based on that data. Okay, so according of the amount of plant we have in the model, we could have an estimation of the CO2 absorption that is linked with our design. So based on that, we can also take some design decisions. And also, if we run Rhino as a plugin for Revit using Rhino inside, and we have LandsDesign installed, we can well reference this, for example, terrain in Grasshopper, deconstruct that mesh, and create a new topography element in Revit. Okay, everything is live connector, so we can work on this terrain or plans in LandsDesign running as a plugin for Revit, and everything would be transferred immediately in Revit. Okay, using this connection. And this is a video that shows some of the main features of Rhino Lands, showing the design process. So we may start with some 2D curves. Sorry for that poppy music, but yeah, from the curves we create terrains, or we can import terrains from the web, right? And then once we have the terrain, we add paths, we modify the terrain according to cuts and fills, okay, from boundary curves that we select, and then we add some of the hardscape parts, such as retaining walls, ramps, fences. They are all parametric objects, so we can change, the distribution of this post, the elements of the post or the walls, the thicknesses, in case of the stairs, so all the flags or dimensions of these objects. So we could do that in Rhino, but we have these parametric objects that makes life easier. Or we can insert some blocks from a library that already comes with the program. Of course, you can integrate here other blocks that you have from your own library, or you have found on the web. Okay? Since Rhino can open many different file formats. And finally, there is the most exciting part when we populate the project with the plant species. And we can insert plants individually. We define here the size of the plant. We can insert them through different, arrangements options, like in a row or in forest. And finally, we just document the project. Okay, so we have tools for adding labels to the plants, or for zoning the project, adding also pictures for the plant species, and have a beautiful layout also showing the plant species report. Okay, and of course all the visualization part to show renders, to record nice videos according to different seasons, and have a beautiful video at the end of the day, okay, from your project. So this is a kind of a summary of all the the design process of what Rhino Lands offers. And this could be maybe a final layout with not only 3D views, but also 2D plans, zoning diagrams, okay, reports of the plant species, pictures, everything. And that's it about Rhino Lands. So you know that we developed the program based on users' feedback, so they will be very welcome. And Rhino Lands is released on Thursday, but you can already enter into the website. It's public, okay? You can already check it out, and actually even download the program. So on Thursday will be kind of the official communication, but it's already there. Okay. And that's it about LandsDesign and Rhino Lands. So I don't know, do you have any comments or questions? Or we just talk about VisualARQ.
Yeah, maybe one question.
Sure.
The rendering, does it also work with what do you use? That's not game software. Unreal, yeah.
It should.
It should.
All these plants are nothing but meshes with textures. Okay, they are kind of embedded into kind of smart blocks. That's why we can change the features of these objects. But at the end of the day, they are just meshes with textures. If Rhino can export meshes with textures, plants should be transferred as well.
Yes, and it's because you saw the connection with the motion.
Yeah.
Motion onto the concept, and it's kind of.
There is something to take into account, because when we oops, I think I closed the stop sharing. I stopped the sharing the thing. Let me go back. Okay, so it's important to take into account the representation mode. okay, because you can show the plants in this conceptual mode or in a detailed or realistic. So depending on the display mode you are using, the geometry would be one or another when you have this connection with Unreal or other software, okay? And also in the examples of Enscape or Lumion or Twinmotion, the geometry that is transferred is the one that you see in the display, in the viewport, okay? But when you shot renders in Rhino, these plants are replaced by more detail, and these cannot be transferred to that other software, okay? Because it's a geometry that's only visible when you shot the render.
I really love the plan.
Yeah, and there are two versions of this plant editor, I have to say, and only one of them is included in the program. The other one is available for free, but well, some plant species use 3D plants developed with one version of this plant editor, and there are others that use another. So maybe there is like a shortcut to open this plant editor, but depending on the plant species, it will open a dialog that says, okay, this plant has been developed with the version that it's not here, so you need to download. Okay.
And is it possible to make them grow? So that you have a timeline, let us say the trees, 1 meter, and then after 3 years.
Yeah, there is a tool, a growth parameter, but it's just a scale thing. It doesn't grow in a realistic way. It just scales the plant from the early stage, would be a tiny plant, to like the maximum size it can reach, but it's not like a realistic growth, where all the leaves and the branches just grow up in a realistic. It's just a parameter that just scales the plant. So we had this feature. I'm not sure if it's still there because of that, because was not giving a realistic sense of growth. But I think it's still there.
Maybe have the season. Very cool.
Yeah, the season is great. And actually these plant editors, it's what lets you save the definitions or the appearances you have created. And once you're done, you say, okay, I save that definition as a summertime appearance. And then I keep on developing that definition in that editor. And you remove the flowers, you remove the color, you change the color of the text, and then say, okay, I save it as a autumn, season. It's a plant editor that does all these things. Yeah, maybe I can launch the program here, so you have an overview of how is it. And we know that, okay, we had a selection of all the commands that we considered important in Rhino, but we are aware that we'll get many requests of tools that we missed. And of course, everyone uses Rhino in a different way and uses commands that maybe others are not even know that exist. So we are kind of preparing ourselves to receive many requests of commands from people that are already used to work with Rhino, and that they will miss them in there. But again, Rhinoland is actually aimed at people who have never used Rhino. So probably your Rhino users will use the other version, the other skin. Okay. And here, okay, we have distributed the commands from 2D, 2D tools to 3D. So it's a kind of a timeline, order, where you start with 2D, you go then to 3D, and then you go to the terrain, all right, tools, and then you populate everything with these, hardscape tools and vegetation tools. Finally, you document the project from the irrigation tools to all the documentation for listing, plants, urban furniture, zones, and so on. Here we have included the Rhino, drafting tools. And finally, all the visualization commands to shot renders, also change the viewport distribution. Okay. And here's some select commands. And basically here with the panels, again, we have a selection of the panels that we consider the most important, okay, for a new user, like the layers, materials, sand, rendering, and also the lines design, where you edit everything that you select in the model, okay? And here the sidebar is just the transform commands that are, the everyday commands that you constantly work with. And of course, the command line, the status bar with the OSNAP. This is something that needs to be, well, sometimes it's closed, so you can open it. I don't know, what's your feeling about this skin new interface?
Can you drag and drop the toolbars? Like,
Yeah, that's the same thing. So we can take the command line and put it in another position that works in the same way.
It's nice to have that simplified version. But,
Mhm.
For me, it's crazy the work to filter we have the less
That's from right. On brainstorming, I suppose hours of filtering. Wow.
So we'll insert a plant at least to show you the feeling of, insert a new species. Okay, and now like this one. Also, there is a new feature we have added. So you can now control the representation mode by viewport. Okay. Also, we have here some basic, like zoom options. But okay, now when in LandsDesign 5, so the former version, when you switch to conceptual, it was changing in all the viewports. And when you were switching to 2D, okay, it was switching also in all viewports. So it didn't make sense to show you the plan in 2D because you could see just, a line and elevation. So it didn't make sense. Now, okay, you still have the option to synchronize all viewports. Okay, that's how it worked in LandsDesign 5. But now you can say, okay, I want the 3D. I'm gonna synchronize it to have it in all the viewports the same. But I can say, okay, I want this. I want to show the 2D crown here. I want to show the realistic representation of 3D, and here the elevations representation. Okay. So that's pretty nice. Also, we have some features to join, the 2D crown. Here we can select these plants and merge the crown. So we have like a contour line for all these plants. Also, hatches is something optional. So you can customize more tools to customize the appearance of the 2D plants. And also as a new great feature, the ramp object. And that's something that is missing in VisualARQ. So I feel a little bit envy. And because I wish to have this tool also in VisualARQ. And it sounds stupid that, okay, we're the same company, we don't put the same thing in both programs, right? But well, yeah, things are this way. So we can, for example, have could be also a curved run. Okay, we can have like a path curve like this, and then run the run command. Here there are all the parameters. We can also have like variable widths. And I'm just going to choose the default options. So the height will be 1 point. No, this is the. No, you define the height by different ways, either as like a constant slope, as the as the ending height, or as raise run proportion. So if we create a ramp of 2 meters, and then I select this curve. Okay, so that's gonna be the ramp. And even though we define this ramp with a total height, we still have the information of the slope, percentage here. Okay, so yeah, or we can make a constant ramp with this with the slope. Okay, and of course this ramp is based on that path curve, so we can change that with the control points. So this is, yeah, one of the new features in Rhino LandsDesign, which is really nice. Okay. Also, this can be like floating. So you have like just a slab with a specific thickness. Okay. So yeah, there are many different options you can explore here. All right. So any more questions?
You say we can now or now?
Sorry?
We can now or just now?
Yeah, you can. Shh, the secret.
Is there a trial period on the license?
There is a trial period of 60 days
Hmm?
because also there is a new, let's say, licensing method through subscription with Rhino Lands. So you have both, like permanent licenses, like Rhino, but also subscription-based licenses. So now you have the two options. And for that reason, we have reduced the evaluation period from 90 to 60 days. I mean, Rhino is still 90 days, but if you have land design, it's less. 2 months is already a good period.
Yeah.
If you don't forget that you install it one day, because that's the typical situation that you install it and you forget it, and when there are just 5 days remaining, you say, okay, I have to test that. So yeah, I mean, if we had like 1 year of evaluation period, people would say, okay, they would just the last week they would remember that only 2 days are left. Okay, so let's move to VisualARQ. Okay, and I think I didn't open the presentation yet. It's here. I mean, you know VisualARQ, Kevin, already. What about the rest of you? You don't know? You never worked with it? Okay, so you know it a little bit? Okay, so I will just try to give like an overview presentation, an overview summary, and then show some of the new features of also the new version that we are about to release. Okay. So, well, I usually start with VisualARQ, so that's why I say that we developed line design, but that's why the reason of this slide. But there are like 3 development lines of VisualARQ, or roads, would say, according to the feature VisualARQ provides to Rhino users. Okay. All right. So we'll do the same as before. Share it again. No, I had to stop the presentation, right? No problem. I will just.
You're not sharing the screen.
Yeah, I know. I will just run the presentation first, and now.
It's kind of sharing the concern.
Sorry?
You got someone telling you?
I was taking for a question.
Okay, and now I'm gonna share the thing. If I search the Zoom. Okay. Share. I'm gonna share the screen too. All right. So let's see if this works. I'm not sure if I'm presenting this. Kind of froze there because I'm trying to. No, this is not working. Okay, I will just close this second because it didn't. Okay. Sorry for that. I'm just gonna close this and run this again. Sorry for that. So, okay, I first run the presentation. And now share the screen. Yeah, there we go. So again, VisualARQ tries to is developed according to 3 different paths. Okay, so the first one is to help producing BIM models in Rhino. In the second, let's say, development line provides tools for producing 2D drawings and documentation from a model in Rhino. And finally, it also helps users to change Rhino models with other software through IFC. Okay. I mean, we have users that use VisualARQ in totally different ways, even though all these paths are connected. Okay, we have users that use VisualARQ with all these three for all these 3 reasons. But according to each development part, there are some features or another that can be interesting for the people. So starting with 3D modeling tools. So we can find these library of architectural objects. They are parametric. They have different representation in 3D than in 2D. And they have some intersections, like walls intersect each other, so they clean their intersection, okay? Or doors and windows generate the opening automatically in walls or curtain walls. So there are these associations that make these objects be more convenient for quickly model or project, okay? But also for producing the 2D drawing because they have already a 2D representation. Also, there is a level manager, and I will show later on some of improvement in this panel. So this helps you to work at different elevations. So each level has a construction plane at a specific height, okay? And just by double click on one level, we can hide all the upper levels, put the construction plane on one elevation, and that way it's very easy, you know, to work on one floor or another. Also, we can activate the cut plane from there, and when we show a model with a cut plane activated in top viewport, then all the objects show this 2D graphical representation. So the doors show the 2D arc, okay? We can see the steps, the numbers on the stair, and other features. And in a similar way, we have the section manager. So we show a list of section lines that can be jogged, can be created from different points, unlike clipping planes. And yeah, from there we activate one section or another, or we can align the project to from a specific section view. So we can work directly on the sectioned model. Okay. And then VisualARQ provides 2 different ways to produce 2D drawings. One is similar to Rhino's Make 2D tool that you may know. So basically with this idea to lay all the 2D drawings on the model space as 2D geometry, which is not the best BIM approach because, okay, in a large project, you may have like dozens of plan views, section views, and if you have to create a 2D drawing, you know, for all these views in the model space, the file size becomes very, very heavy, right? So, but still, there are some tools to produce 2D drawings that way. And the other option is to basically show the real-time model displayed in section, in plan view, you know, in page layout. And this is possible thanks to hidden display mode. So talking about the first option, there are tools to insert 2D plan views, 2D section views, and they are blocks linked with the 3D models. Okay? In Rhino 8, we can find some of these features as well, but till now, you could only use VisualARQ for them. And these blocks, yeah, they are linked with the 3D model in the sense that we make changes on the 3D model and we can select them, update them. They will be recalculated with all the changes. Okay. But talking about this other method, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, this hidden display mode I was talking to you about lets you print what you see directly to vector object. You know that when we are using shaded mode or rendered mode, we can only print that as a raster image. Otherwise, we see all the edges and wires of the geometry. Okay. So if we want to print that model, that's any geometry as a vector, output, we can only do it if we use the hidden display mode. Okay, that it's provided by VisualARQ. So in an architectural project, it's just a matter to have a model in plan view or section view. And as soon as we use this hidden display mode inside it, have the project ready to be printed to PDF or to a plot, whatever. Okay. And on top of it, we'll draw all the dimensions and so on. And yeah, talking about IFC, all the visual objects are transferred to IFC with the object type they are. So we open that model in Solibri, Revit, ArchiCAD. We will identify visual objects as beams, walls, windows, and so on. And most of the cases, or a few cases maybe, all the parametric features will be preserved. Okay, so a wall in VisualARQ will become a true wall in Revit or in ArchiCAD. But the reality is different because depending on how you have created this wall, the other server may not recognize these objects as a true wall, but as a geometry tagged as a wall. Okay? Or for certain object types like stairs, railings, or curtain walls, we will be able only to transfer geometry with a specific type as a data, as a static data design. Okay. But for Rhino geometry, we can use these features also to tag, for example, this polysurface as a slab. Okay, so we can tell any piece of geometry to be exported as a slab, as a beam, as a roof, right? And the other server will identify that as a slab floor, not as a native one, of course, because the original geometries could be anything, but at least as something that you could document and and find in our server. And not only the IFC type, but also custom parameters can be added to geometry, and they will be exported as IFC properties. It will be stored in other parameters. All this data can be displayed in tables. And there is a new feature in VisualARQ 3 I'm going to show you related to that, a new way of producing quantity takeoffs, because right now you produce them as 2D tables in the model space. Yeah, I mean, in a second, you will see how this works in the new version. So this concept of flexible beam basically comes from two different reasons. One is that, okay, VisualARQ lives in the Rhino environment where we can create any kind of freeform shape, okay? And with VisualARQ, we can turn these freeform shapes into informed objects. So we can work with complex geometry in a beam environment, okay? But the second reason is because the way it integrates with Grasshopper. And VisualARQ does it in two different ways. On one hand, all these architectural objects can be created from Grasshopper definitions. So we call them the Grasshopper styles. And on the other hand, we have all the components available in the Grasshopper interface. Okay? So talking about the first case, this is like a regular Grasshopper definition that generates this sliding door. And this is a kind of door that it's not possible to be achieved with, let's say, system doors in VisualARQ. Okay, so we have sliding doors, but you cannot control, the position of the leaves, okay, and other details. So this is a Grasshopper definition that generates this door, and we can use it to produce a new door style. And all the input parameters that we have in the Grasshopper definition become parameters in the properties dialog. So we can change the dimension of this door directly from the properties panel, but we're basically, editing, using the Grasshopper parameters that are running in the background. And Grasshopper is hidden now at this point. So people who don't know Grasshopper can take advantage of these objects that are generated by Grasshopper definition. And this is a short video, sorry, because it's a bit quick, but of the Grasshopper style process. We have a Grasshopper definition that generates this bench, this parametric bench, and we create a new furniture style using that Grasshopper file. Okay? Once the new style is created, we define here the default parameters, default dimensions, but also we can assign materials to different parts of it. But at this point, we can just insert this object in our model. We change their parameters from the properties dialog, and all these parameters, all these objects that we have, can be listed afterwards in tables. Okay, so yeah, we have custom dynamic blocks in our model driven by Grasshopper definitions. That's the idea. Any questions about that?
Do the custom objects also have a different 2D representation? Can you also set
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, you can have in your Grasshopper definition some output components that are assigned later on to the 2D representation of the Grasshopper file, of the new stuff. So you control which geometry goes to the 3D representation and which other goes to the plan representation.
Am I correct that you have like a base chair, for example, and then you can modify that chair, adding, changing the lane, changing the number of legs, and then import that modified one into Grasshopper?
Yeah, you can reference that chair
The-
in
the-
Grasshopper.
the-
Yes.
The adapted one, and then modify. it
Exactly, yeah.
further and
Mhm.
do all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
correct. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can reference styles, objects, and the styles, and you can read the parameters that this object has,
Mm.
even if it's a Grasshopper driven by a Grasshopper definition, and do modifications based on these parameters.
Maybe we have a question from Leon.
Okay.
Not from Lance, but we.
All right.
Wait at the end.
So yeah, also the goal is that that in Grasshopper you generate something, you bake it, and this becomes like a dead geometry in Rhino. It's not parametric anymore. But with this integration, you have one object that is using. I mean, you have hundreds of objects using one style, using one Grasshopper definition, and all of them can be changed parametrically in Rhino. And you have like a parametric object. Okay. On Food for Rhino, you can find some of these objects that people share. And well, this is like the other way VisualARQ integrates with Grasshopper. So just similar to LandsDesign. So we have all the components to create walls, curtain walls, columns, and so on available here. And yeah, we can create like parametric designs with these objects. That's once we bake them, they become visual objects in Rhino. So basically, there are components to create new objects. Like in this case, we have a wall that requires a path curve, and then we have some other options to change the height, to change the alignment, to assign some style. So we have also components to create new styles. So styles are what determine the features of objects, right? So in this case of walls, the number of layers, the thickness of the wall layers. And then we have the opposite commands. So we have the commands to deconstruct objects to obtain their path curve, to obtain their height, to obtain also the information of the styles, so number of components, the layers, the thicknesses. So all these are available there to do anything you want. Yeah, since parametric towers like that, where they are done with slabs and columns to generate the structure of a roof automatically, just referencing a roof and obtaining, all the top surfaces and generating all the structure with beams. Also to manage data on geometry. For example, in this case, all these columns are referenced using this component, and we can bake a list of names to that geometry with this component. It's an update property. So with a push of a button, we bake the list of names, okay, to those columns. So we can assign data to geometry very quickly, just with a few components, okay. And later on, we can use that data to create reports, to export that information to IFC files and so on. Or if we run, Grasshopper files with a Grasshopper player, we can also generate visual objects at the end. So, do you know are you using the Grasshopper player? No. Do you know what it is? Because yeah, it's I don't know why, but many people don't know about it. even people that use Grasshopper. So the Grasshopper player, basically it's a tool in Rhino that you select the Grasshopper file and lets you run a command, in as any other tool. I mean, in the Grasshopper definition, you define the steps, to follow the command line, and the geometry that you make, after the command ends. So in this case, we are creating some structure by picking a volume and then defining the column span in X and Y direction. But actually, everything is controlled in the Grasshopper definition. But once this is done, we can share the definition with somebody who doesn't know Grasshopper and just run the definition as a new tool or a new command. Okay. And using this technology, we are able to generate more commands for VisualARQ. This is the VisualARQ Labs plugin that is also available on Food for Rhino. And it basically expands the VisualARQ features with commands run with a Grasshopper player. So we have put them into a toolbar, and the user just need to, install that plugin, and there are more commands for VisualARQ that doesn't exist in VisualARQ itself. And in this example, for example, is a command for creating slabs by selecting walls. Okay, so there is a Grasshopper script here in the background that takes all the boundary curves of the walls, all the path curves of the walls, generate like a single boundary or two boundaries, and generates a slab using these boundaries. Okay. And actually, this is a command that I developed myself, and I'm not a programmer. I just know some Grasshopper. I have some basic Grasshopper knowledge. So I feel like I can play the role of being, a programmer, and play the game to become a programmer for one day, and without having a clue of, programming languages. So it's great. I mean, that these tools are there, so you can create your own tools and share them with people that don't know Grasshopper, and automate workflows. And also for in this case, Revit integration. So we have Rhino on site, also with VisualARQ running for Revit. And this is, the example of how it works. So with a VisualARQ pipeline, we can reference all the walls. This is actually Rhino and VisualARQ running inside Revit with the plugin. And we can deconstruct these walls to obtain the path curve. We can also deconstruct the options to know the height of the walls. And here, since we're running Grasshopper from Revit, we have all the Revit-aware components to create walls in Revit. And in this component, in this case, we need path curves. So we know this information. We got them from the deconstruct wall. We know the height as well. So we have a immediate transfer of walls from Rhino to Revit, okay, with just a few components. So this is like the basic workflow, but we have like a more advanced definition for Rhino that is hidden here. But it not only transfers the geometry, but also the information of the styles. In case of the walls, all the layers, the thicknesses, and generates new families or new types in Revit. Okay, so actually you can just focus on the VisualARQ model, and all the objects will be transferred as true Revit objects in Revit. Okay, so unlike IFC here, we skip the step to have like intermediate files. Okay, I mean, since everything happens in Grasshopper, and if you are skilled in Grasshopper, you can control how the geometry and data is transferred. You have better control of all this model, how it goes from Rhino to Revit, while in IFC everything is more, let's say, limited. Okay, and this is just another example of how you can put that Grasshopper file as a button in Revit. When you push it, you automatically transfer all the model from Rhino to Revit, and you can keep on working on the Rhino model. And when you want to see the changes on Revit, you go back to Revit and you push this button again, and it calculates all the changes. All these definitions are available on Food for Rhino, so you can play with them if you like. And now I would like to show some user projects according to these different ways, people are using VisualARQ. So of course, we are seeing VisualARQ widely used in early stages of the design process, from academic projects to well, conceptual competition projects. Okay, like in this case of white architecture. Also in residential, of course, housing, not only for, I mean, this has not been constructed, I think, but also real projects of different sizes. What VisualARQ was used. Also for reporting all the bill of materials, right? All the quantities of wooden frames, wooden studs in this case. So everything was reported with VisualARQ. Also for historical beam projects where a point scan has been brought into Rhino and VisualARQ was used to reconstruct everything with on top of it with beam objects. And finally, the people could deliver a beam model at the end of the day, or for producing the 2D drawings as a result, okay, of having all the 3D objects created with VisualARQ. For interior design, where you need to set up the environment of the project, okay, right? Of course, in interior design, you work with very detailed and unique shapes, right? But I mean, you still need to have like a wall, windows, ceiling, you know, slabs, and also for producing all the 2D views, of course, sections and plan views. So we are seeing also people in this field, or commercial cultural projects, very unique. Okay, we're seeing also VisualARQ being used a lot. Also for bringing projects to fabrication, like in this case, this is like the Nokia Arena by Daniel Libeskind, and some people in Finland, where Geometria.fi were commissioned to design the facade, and which was done with VisualARQ beams, and bring them to production just by labeling all these beams, numbering all them, well, dimensioning all these objects, and producing, also sharing the model with the contractors through IFC. Okay. And for producing 2D drawings, doesn't matter the scale of the project. So VisualARQ tools can be used for also small projects like that. Or in landscape design, also for creating the architecture around the project, but also for the elements in the landscape, design, such as these floors or beams or structure, you can use also VisualARQ. And this is just another example of a reproduction of the Casa de Vidro in Brazil from Lina Bobardi. So model was created with VisualARQ and all the environment with LandsDesign plans. Or in the marine design, also we're seeing some users take advantage of the tools to produce the section views, section drawings, plumb drawings, or using visual objects to, they can, for example, you can extend walls to a curved shape of the hull of a yacht, right? So also some of the architectural objects are useful in this design. And now let's see new features in VisualARQ 3. So they are not all, but the most important. And I don't know when we will release VisualARQ 3, maybe in 1 or 2 months. So we're very close after many years of wait. And there have been many improvements in the level manager, because now we can activate this magnet icon. They are the constraints icon. So when this is on, all the objects sitting on one level, or they are located within a level, move if we change the elevation of the level. Okay, so the objects just update their position. And if you don't want to run the error to move object by mistake, don't worry. Just don't activate this button and nothing is going to happen. Okay, so it's kind of you have a very good control of the link of objects with levels by activating this magnet icon. Also, builders now have a boundary, so that makes it easier to hide and isolate buildings. Okay. Also, a new environment appears when you have a boundary. Okay. Because a building with a boundary just makes the rest the area beyond it the environment. So we can also hide that environment. And of course, this boundary applies to levels. So that makes also easier to isolate levels if we want just to work on a specific part of the model. Okay. Also, we have integrated new tools in Rhino 8 for showing reflected plans. Okay, and now you have a quick access from a level manager to show the model as a reflected ceiling plan. Okay, just to show everything upside down, or from the bottom upwards, basically. There is also a new element. It's the guide. I introduce you to the guide object, and it's a labelet, object that can be inserted as a grid or individually, and it can be edited individually as well. And when you create objects, on top of these guides, they linked to them. Okay, so curtain walls, they are stretched or they are moved if we move these guides. Okay. And also you have a big control of which object types are linked to the guides, even if they are sitting on top of the guide, if we want to move them or not. So you have a very good control of this link of geometry with guides. And not only visual objects, but also any Rhino geometry, like a box, curve, is linked to these elements. Okay. And what I was mentioning before about the new tables, okay, now they are available from a panel, and we can show all the quantity takeoff reports, and we can identify the elements, by selecting them from this panel. And also this panel allows us to edit properties of this object directly from the table. So we can change the style of an object, or we can add like data on the object directly from those panels. So they are kind of bi-directional tables. We cannot change the area of an object. That's of course a calculated information, but some properties can be editable from there. And you can also apply some filters. For example, we can filter objects by the building where they are, by level, by style, by layer. Okay, and we can also see the totals at the end of these rows. So that's something that didn't exist before and was very requested by the users, but finally it's a true feature. Finally came true. Also, the Grasshopper styles now are available for walls and curtain walls, which weren't available. And in case of walls, also the joints are calculated. Okay. Also, we have included a read-only output parameter. So we can have in the Grasshopper script that generates this railing a calculated value that tells us how many posts we have. So depending on the length of this railing, we'll see a value or another in this read-only, like this post count information. Okay, and it's very useful because we can have, for example, a list of fences and see how many posts we have in each one of these fences or railings. Curtain walls can be created from surfaces, and that's a bit dangerous because in complex surfaces takes some time to recalculate, but we're improving that. But also can be a cool feature, to go from the conceptual, design to maybe real design. Also, we have improved the interconnection of visual objects. So walls, slabs, roofs, also stairs that have the same hatch patterns as section attributes, they calculate their intersections and clean their intersection lines. So we have a cleaner intersection, okay, cleaner section view. And also we have added like a layer type for slabs. So that way we can have like core layers in slabs, and this will determine the priority when they intersect with walls. Now it's also possible to insert doors and windows in roofs, which is something pretty obvious, but in Visual 2 it's not possible. You need to create an opening manually and explode the window and orient it. So now you can do it very, very quickly. And we have also added a tool for detecting collisions between different two sets of objects. Okay, so we can detect soft and hard clashes, so basically collisions and clearances according to different criteria, and we can define different filters for each set of objects. For example, we can say that we want to find the collisions between walls and beams, or objects in layer A with objects in layer B, or just find the collisions of everything with everything. Okay, so there are many options available for these tests. Okay. Also, this is something that is not available yet in the beta version, but in the final release we will deliver the support to IFC4 files. And finally, now it's possible to export layouts directly to the DWG. Okay, that's also a big requested feature, and yeah, I mean all the 3D model that we see, you know, as a 2D drawing in the layout is transferred as a DWG file, and also the notations, title blocks, they are transferred to DWG, and that's what we see when we open this model in AutoCAD, for example. Okay.
Also with the hidden view.
Yeah, I mean, you need the hidden view
Yeah.
to make this work. With other views, it's not gonna work. Okay, and that's it. I mean, yeah, that's the typical slide, you know, telling you that different license types, and we also base development on user feedback. And there is also an API available for VisualARQ. So if you want to go very technical, you can explore this. And I mean, we expand the amount of functions on according to the user's requirements. So they are very easy to implement. So feel free to ask for one if it's already missing. And yeah, VisualARQ+3 is already available. I mean, only people with a license can test the new version right now, but I hope that in 1 or 2 months, when we finish the support to IFC4, we will release finally VisualARQ+. Any questions?
Will the VisualARQ+3 come with, if we already have a VisualARQ+2 license, will we be able to run the 3, or will it be required?
No, there is a cost for the upgrade. We are providing like free upgrades to new users who are buying VisualARQ+2 now. Okay, but yeah, for VisualARQ+2 users, there will be we will have a promotional period, but yeah, there will be an upgrade cost.
That's good to know. I think it's the first time that I would or have to buy a new license.
Yeah, actually, it will be VisualARQ+3, and when we went from VisualARQ+1 to VisualARQ+2, we provided VisualARQ+2 upgrade for free. Of course, the amount of users was smaller in that moment, 7 years ago. That was kind of a present, or the way to say thanks for the confidence in VisualARQ+1. But now it's a different thing, from VisualARQ+2 to 3. I mean, there is 7 years of work here, and yeah. But yeah, I hope you found the new features interesting, and also for you that are new to VisualARQ or see everything for the first time. And yeah, I don't know if you have any questions about.
Question from Leon from YouTube.
Oh yes.
When you finish the landscape presentation on design, the incredible tool, did I understand that it's possible to estimate how much CO2 a plant will absorb?
Yeah, that's possible with the data, with some data information obtained from public department, in this case from Spain, that I mean, it's data that is available, but it provides the CO2 absorption of certain species. So you have those species in your model, okay? You just match, this data and see which species, you have that information, and that way you can have this analysis. But only if you're using that species from that data source.
Can you add data for the other species yourself?
Yeah, you can embed if you like.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And actually,
Database.
these species are measured from, I mean, the data is from 10 to 40 years. And everything beyond that range is interpolated, you know? So you can estimate the CO2 absorption in 60 years, but from 40 to 60, it's kind of a following, you know, the curve of absorption. It's, I mean, it's approximate, you know, information, approximate value.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Francesc, for this intense but really nice day. And it was great to see all the products updates and also to see you live, but we want to see you more times here.
My pleasure.
I mean, we can plan also workshops another time of events. That would be also great. But thanks for your hard work and also to share to all of us here. And thanks all of you, the ones that are in YouTube, for following live. And now let's go to have some beers and some fun discussion, and let's continue the party internally. Thanks a lot,
Perfect.
Francesc.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Great.